They had to trust God's provision. They had to step in and do it, even though they were scared. What I know to be true is that our smaller daily decisions to choose faith over fear prepare us for life's bigger, fearful challenges. I lived through many small faith tests before facing the greatest challenge of my life. We were on vacation in the Colorado mountains when my husband Lynn, at age 55, suddenly suffered a severe brain bleed, and his life depended upon getting him to a brain surgeon on the other side of the mountains before it was too late. He was unconscious when he was lifted into a small plane. I climbed in by the pilot. Lynn was on a gurney in back, with a medic on either side. The line on the only monitor I could see fluctuated, and then flatlined. I thought Lynn had died, especially because the medics wouldn't make eye contact with me, and the sound of the plane was too loud for conversation. I looked out the window at the snow-capped mountain peaks below and beautiful blue sky above, and suddenly experienced a total sense of peace that passed all understanding. Lord, I prayed, if you have chosen to take Lynn here, thank you for this heavenly setting. The plane landed, and one of the medics gave me a thumbs up as they quickly rolled Lynn into the hospital where a neurosurgeon was waiting. Can you save him? I frantically asked the doctor. I can keep his heart beating, but I don't know about his brain, he answered. Hours later, the surgeon emerged to tell our gathered family that Lynn had survived the surgery, but his most critical challenges were ahead. I felt overwhelmed by all the unknowns. A dear friend who showed up at the hospital took my hands and faced me eye to eye. Everything that has happened in your life until now has prepared you for what you are facing. Trust God and hold on to faith. Her words reminded me of a scripture I'd often repeated about God's angel preparing the way on a fearful journey. See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Exodus chapter 23, verse 20, New International Version. God's promises and my friend's words gave me strength through the long days Lynn was in a coma, followed by weeks of his slow progress in a rehab facility. Today, years later, Lynn and I continue our journey, trusting that God will prepare our way and give us what we need when we need it. The book in your hands is filled with 100 devotions, personal stories of people just like you who have faced fears of all sizes and found comfort in God's words, such as those found in Psalm 34, verse 4, New International Version. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. No matter where you place this book in your home, whether by your bed or on a table by a comfy chair, the message on the cover will continually remind you that faith over fear brings you rest in the shadow of his wings. Devotion 1. Practice Peacefulness. John Dilworth. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, New International Version. John, how do you always stay so calm, even in the tough situations? A colleague asked. I was sitting across the desk from the division president of my company for one last meeting. We were chatting, wrapping things up, before I formally retired. Not expecting the question, I rambled, mentioning my faith and that I hadn't always been calm. I talked about reading Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's books in my younger days and how they had helped me. Later, I felt disappointed that my answer hadn't come close to capturing God's work within me to overcome the biggest struggle of my life.